Once upon a time, in a small town hidden among misty hills, there was a narrow, winding street known as Hollow Street. It was an ancient road, lined with old Victorian houses, each more haunted-looking than the last. For years, no one ventured down Hollow Street after dark. There was something about it that made the skin crawl, as if the street itself had a secret it wanted to keep hidden. Every year on Halloween night, the residents would warn the children to stay away from Hollow Street. Parents would spin tales about the shadows that moved on their own, the faint cries heard from empty rooms, and the chilling figures seen wandering in the dead of night. But this year, curiosity got the better of a group of friends, Alex, Sarah, Ethan, and Mia, who dared each other to explore the forbidden street. As dust settled and the first trick-or-treaters started appearing on the main roads, the four friends took a different path, leading them into the heart of Hollow Street. The air grew colder as they stepped onto the cracked pavement, and an unnatural stillness wrapped around them. The houses seemed to lean in, their broken windows like dark, unblinking eyes watching their every step. They had barely walked a few steps when Sarah spotted a sign in the weeds, half buried in dirt. It read, "Turn back before midnight." "That's just to scare people," Ethan scoffed, brushing off the sign's warning. But as they moved forward, the shadows deepened, stretching across the street like dark fingers. The lamps along Hollow Street flickered, casting fleeting glimpses of someone, standing at the end of the road just beyond their sight. Suddenly they heard it, a faint melody, like an old music box playing a haunting tune. They couldn't tell where it was coming from, but it echoed down the street, bouncing off the walls. Alex, the most fearless of the group, suggested they follow the sound. His heart raced with excitement, thinking they might discover some forgotten part of the town's history. But Mia felt a shiver of dread. Something about the music felt wrong, ancient. As they crept closer, they saw an old abandoned house at the end of the street, where the music grew louder. The house was covered in ivy, and the windows were caked with dust. Yet the front door was ajar, as if inviting them inside. Against their better judgment, they entered. Inside, the house was frozen in time. Cobwebs hung in every corner, and a thick layer of dust covered the furniture. Yet there were faint footprints leading up the stairs, as if someone or something had been walking through recently. Sarah noticed the footprints were too small for an adult and looked like they belonged to a child. They followed the prints up the stairs, their hearts pounding in sync with the creaking floorboards. The music grew louder, leading them to a room at the end of the hallway. They pushed open the door, revealing a nursery decorated with vintage toys and a crib draped in a pale, decaying veil. In the corner of the room stood an old music box, playing the eerie tune they had been hearing. As soon as Alex picked it up, the music stopped, and the room fell silent. A cold breeze swept through, slamming the door shut behind them. Panicking, they tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. Sarah's hands shook as she whispered, "Let's just leave the music box and get out of here." But before they could put it down, they heard a faint giggle, a child's laugh. They spun around looking for the source of the sound, but no one was there. Then in the reflection of the mirror across the room, they saw her, a little girl in a pale dress, her face obscured by shadows, standing beside the crib. "Help me," she whispered, her voice like the wind, echoing through the room. Terrified, the friends backed away, but Alex felt an odd compulsion to approach the girl. As he stepped forward, the girl's face became clearer, and they saw her hollow eyes staring right through them, her smile stretched too wide. She reached out her hand toward Alex, and for a moment, he felt his own hand moving toward hers against his will. Suddenly, a loud banging echoed from the other side of the door. It sounded like someone or something was trying to break in. In a fit of panic, Ethan grabbed the music box and threw it to the ground. The music stopped, and for a split second, everything went quiet. But then, the shadows began to swirl around them, moving closer, encircling the group. The little girl's smile faded, and her face contorted in anger. She pointed to the broken music box and let out a blood-curdling scream, her eyes turning pitch black. The friends felt an icy grip on their arms, pulling them toward the shadows. Struggling and terrified, they screamed for help, but their voices were drowned out by the girl's unholy wail. Just as the shadows were about to consume them, Mia remembered the sign from earlier. "Turn back before midnight." "It's almost midnight," Mia screamed. "We need to get out before the clock strikes 12. With a burst of strength, fueled by fear, they slammed against the door, and this time it flew open. They tumbled out of the room and raced down the stairs. The house seemed to come alive around them, walls shifting, doors slamming, as if the house itself was trying to trap them inside. Behind them, they heard the child's laughter mixed with the sound of footsteps chasing them. They burst out of the front door just as the clock struck 12. As they hit the pavement, they looked back to see the house shrouded in darkness, the front door creaking shut on its own. The music box's tune faded into silence, leaving only the echo of the girls' laughter ringing in their ears. Out of breath and terrified, they fled Hollow Street, never daring to look back. From that night on, they never spoke of what happened in the old house, and they avoided Hollow Street at all costs. But each Halloween, they could still hear the faint tune of the music box playing somewhere in the distance. And they knew that the spirit of the little girl remained, waiting for the next group of foolish souls who dared to trespass on her haunted home. And so, the legend of Hollow Street lived on, a chilling tale told by the townsfolk each Halloween, warning anyone who would listen, do not enter the house at the end of Hollow Street, for the girl inside does not rest and she does not forgive.